Protocol Labs and does stuff with Go. Lars?
Yep, that's me. Power just went off again. Yeah, I'm Lars. I live in Berlin. I work for Protocol Labs, mostly on
Sweet. I don't know where Kex or Ed or Sid are. Are any of you guys in Europe?
I'm in Amsterdam.
Cool.
I'm Ed Silverton. I work for a company called Digirati in London, part of the IIIF community. And I met Matt and Friedel at the recent IIIF conference. So I'm here to help
Awesome.
demo stuff.
Sweet. Thank you so much for coming. It's great to have you on this call.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. For Dignified Choir, who's having some issues, is in Freiburg. He works on JS IPFS and a few other things, also in Germany, which I guess is a bit further east, but oh well. Victor has no mic. Victor lives in Barcelona, although he is Swedish, and he works on JS IPFS and the websites at the moment. Super nice guy, very good poker face. There are now two Friedels.
Yes. Okay. Can you hear me? Please tell me that you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
That is awesome.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
I just introduced you, so I'm just gonna keep going with the roll call. I'm actually furthest east in America right now, I believe. I am in Connecticut, and I work on documentation and some community stuff. My name is Richard. I also work at Protocol Labs. Who else is next? Matt?
Yeah, I'm Matt Zumwa. I'm the program manager for Protocol Labs, so I do lots of the community engagement, road mapping, that kind of stuff for Protocol Labs and all the IPFS related projects.
Emily?
My name is Emily. I work for Protocol Labs. I'm in North Carolina in the Research Triangle Park, and I facilitate Halloween costume competitions for all hands meetings. Mostly today, only today, once a year, but it's a good gig.
Awesome. Sid?
I'm coming to you from Montana. I'm just getting started with IPFS. I'm interested in learning more about it, digging into the code. Appreciate hanging out with you guys.
Awesome. Great to have you here. Hector, I know there are two of you. I've already introduced you. Kex, if you want to, that's fine. I think you're normally just here as a visitor. If you have any questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I forgot my headphones, so I have to unmute and mute my laptop at the same time. I'm in Hamburg. I work on Orbit currently and made some changes to FloodSub recently. Yeah, currently I caused some bug and have to find out what it's about, but yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you, Kex. Sweet. Okay, that's the roll call for today. Pretty clear and simple. Now is a call for additional agenda items. I'm going to add one about an Orbit call because Kex is on this. We can get to that in a bit. If anyone has any other additional agenda items, throw them on the agenda now. And now let's move straight on to the next thing, which is API documentation status and HTTP APIs. Hector, I believe that's you. Hector, are you able to talk?
Yep. Great. So hi, everyone. I wanted to bring into attention because I've been looking, like last week, I was looking to API documentation, and I was trying to see how the documentation matches the APIs and how the Go API matches the JavaScript API. And I have no good news. Things are really messy. API language or specification, this blueprint API cannot really describe how some of our endpoints work. So we cannot really use this to create tests for our APIs or any automatic code generation. mostly because API is designed to work with REST APIs, and we don't have a REST API. We have an RPC API with some special features. So the question is if it's worth putting more efforts on fixing apiary, or if we just drop it and make it disappear. And also to bring into the attention that we have several sources for how the API, the core API, the HTTP's API look like. And none of those sources correspond very tightly with what actually the code is doing. So I wanted to have a little bit of discussion on how what we should do here about this.
Lars?
So I don't have a good idea forward yet, but I can, at least for the IPFS API, I can say that it's very intentional that it's RPC style, because it's supposed to, like, the API and the CLI are supposed to be as equal as possible, to avoid any confusion and friction between the two. Yeah, so I don't see much room for converting it to a REST style API.
The CLI and the API, at least in the case of Go, are exactly the same. The problem is that a command line interface is, in some cases, and sometimes it works, but in some cases it's not what one would expect from an HTTP interface. Anyway, I'm fine with having this sort of matching. It's just that API doesn't really, it's not really good to document it that way.
Cool. Richard and then Dick. Richard, so I made most of the HTTP API on Apiary, mostly just doing whatever I could with it for the framework that we set up. Thank you so much for overhauling that. That's awesome. If you have any specific questions about it, let me know. I may be able to help. I really don't know enough about this issue at the moment. I feel like the people you really need to talk to are Jeremy and David Diaz, neither of whom are on this call at the moment. I know you made an issue, which is pretty awesome. If you could link to that in the notes, we can get more eyes on that in the future. Dig?
Yeah, so I wanted to bring up that there was a lot of discussion around this around the time we started using API and decided to try this out. There was like a lot of effort into looking into the APIs. The main thing to keep in mind about the HTTP API and pretty much anything around that is that, or any other API we currently expose in IPFS, is we can't break it. That's a pretty big thing for us, and Juan made that very clear a couple of times. Even though we do want to improve on this, the current one has to stay for a pretty long time. So I think we need to figure out, no matter how we think that, I agree the current HTTP API is not perfectly designed, but we need to figure out a way to document the current version independent of any improvements we make for the moving forward for any new versions of the HTTP API or the CLI, because they're going to stay for a couple of versions here. And so I think that should be the main goal for now, is not thinking about how we can make the HTTP API better, but rather like just making sure that it's documented well. There's a single source of truth, and that is actually tested against all the points that we have currently, which is JS IPFS and Go IPFS, and anybody else who's trying to implement the HTTP API. Also, that the clients that all depend on it, right? We have a lot of different languages that depend on the HTTP API, JavaScript, Go. There is a Java API, there's the Python API, which is, I think, used pretty heavily. All those expect the current HTTP API to work as it is, and they also need to test against that. Thank you, Lars.
Sweet. Let's see if we can talk about that more in the issue, Hector. You have a
Yes, so I agree, API shouldn't change. But right now we don't have the same API everywhere either, because the JavaScript and API have differences, random differences. So the endpoints are the same, but they may return different objects, different contents, depending on the endpoint, or they fail with different conditions also, depending on what you submit to them. So what should we use to have a single source of truth for what the API should do? Because right now we have apiary, we have the core spec, the core API spec, which is unfinished, and yeah, none of them fully describe how this should work. We basically don't have a single source of truth for what API should do. And when people work on their projects, Go IPFS mainly, they don't think twice about documenting the API before they add new endpoints and new functionalities.
Lars?
There was a similar discussion when we started working on the core API. Like eventually, when the core API is finished, or like a few components of it are already finished, like, then that should be the source of truth. But as long as a certain component of the API is not, of the core API is not finished yet, Go IPFS should be the source of truth. And if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that is pretty much the thing, because JavaScript is. Sorry?
We should definitely work towards getting them to be consistent by IPFS and JS.
Yeah. So that's a bug effectively on JavaScript side if it returns something else. It's also super important to keep in mind core API and HTTP API are two different things. They do not correspond one-to-one, and they will never correspond one-to-one. Core API is a language level API, and HTTP API is a HTTP level API exposed by the HTTP endpoints. That's important to note. We have a plan for the core HTTP API, which is, as Lars said, moving to the single source of truth, being the interface IPFS core/core API documentation and tests, which also will include tests. But we don't have a plan effectively for moving to the single source of truth for the HTTP API, as far as I know.
Friedel, I think Friedel, I think you have to moderate now because Richard lost his connection.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let me.
Should we? I was going to suggest. Should we move this to? Should we figure out how to follow up on this issue, because we've been talking about it for about 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I added a link to the issues, so in GitHub.
Yeah. We should also probably set up a call around this, maybe next week. Not necessarily around the at the sprint, but at some point, because there's a lot of stuff to discuss. But yeah, especially everybody who has worked on this in the past, please start filling in that issue to collect all the thoughts that have gone into this before. So because they're often, I think, only were part of calls, and so Hector has no chance of actually knowing about them. Thank you. All right, let's move on.
The next few things all need David. So, and he's still talking to his ISP. So,
right.
The final one, orbit call. Oh, which is Richard's. What can we cover without David? Multi-formats captain. Who is the captain for multi-formats effort?
I don't think there is actually a multi-formats captain, which was one of the issues around multi-formats. Like, has captain some of them, but he's not able to do all the captain work. So I don't think multi-formats has an official captain for the whole organization.
All right, so Victor's typing. Victor, is your mic not working? Okay, so can we assign a captain?
I don't think we can assign a. Yeah, Lars, sorry.
No, go on.
I don't think we can assign a captain without David or Juan being there. Unless there's someone stepping forward for multi-formats and is super sure they can do it. Yes,
All right,
Lars?
Victor's oh,
Was Victor talking? I'm sorry.
Victor said he's creating an issue. He's typing.
Oh, I see.
Hey, there's David.
Hey, David.
Hey everyone, sorry for being late. How's it going?
So we skipped a few points of the items and are now talking about multi-formats, Captain.
So should we just divert that to an issue, or Lars, did you have more to say about it?
I was offering to do that.
To captain or to create the issue?
The former.
Okay, so you're offering to captain multi-formats. Cool.
Maybe create an issue saying I shall be the captain. Does anybody oppose?
Okay.
All right, so then we can go back up to the project manager one, Friedel.
Yes, cool.
That's
Okay.
David
Mostly
made it.
you, Matt, right?
Yeah. Well, David, I think David, you made that item in the agenda. Is that right? All right, but it was mostly a question for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the state of labeling issues and their specific milestones? All right, so there's sort of a double answer there. One is that ultimately we want to be able to use the roadmap generator that Hod wrote in order to generate roadmap.md files, which makes life a lot easier for everyone. In order to do that, we need to have that information in Git as labels and milestones so that the roadmap generator can read it. And there is this tool that Hod has been using called labels and milestones. If you go to hodcode/labels and milestones, you'll see that tool. That what it lets you do is define in a config file a list of milestones, a list of repositories that you want to have consistent milestones and labels and colors of labels. And then you tell it what milestones and what labels to synchronize across all those repos, and then it synchronizes them. So Hod has been using that. I tried to set it up last week, and it's actually like running it is a bit weird. So rather than banging my head against it, I'm going to wait for Hod to come back from vacation tomorrow and get help from him. The main weirdness is that, for example, the roadmap generator that Hod wrote is entirely written in JavaScript. So you can actually just npm install that generator in any repo and then just run it. So I can commit a config file into each of our repositories. So into like IPFS PM or JS IPFS, commit a config file for the roadmap generator and just run the roadmap generator right there. Whereas this other tool, the labels and milestones, it's both Ruby and JavaScript. So it's like really kind of weird to run, and you have to have basically a dedicated repository to be the house of your configuration for how you're going to synchronize your milestones. It was just weird enough that I was like, I'll wait for Hod. So that's what the priority for last week was just getting the information into GitHub, which I think everyone has done a good job with. The priority for this week for me is to get that stuff expressed as generated roadmaps. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to work with Hod on this labels as milestones thing. I think that partially answers your question, David. Is there more to the question?
No, it definitely is a good answer. What I'm more looking for in the near term is really the labels and milestones, like being able to grab the labels that we have to tag the issues with from the roadmap that has already been created manually, but it has been created. So we just want to make sure that we communicate which issues belong to which milestone. And that's what we are looking for, at least first.
So have you, for the JS projects, have you already been tagging issues with the milestone labels with a milestone name in them?
We did that for the last quarter. We used
have not done it for Q4.
Columns. What?
You have not done that for Q4?
So Q4, it's different, right? Because like last quarter we did it with Waffle, and now we are not using columns as milestones anymore. We are using columns as like the backlog and ready and in progress and done. And we don't have those labels. And like it is very time consuming to open labels one by one and to go and tag them. Even like just the first pass is going to be annoying nevertheless, just like to go to every issue. What I do hope though is that like after that first huge wave of issues that need to be tagged, that like the process gets very simple, because then everyone in the team can like, oh, there's a new issue. This is clearly from this milestone, let me tag it. And like it gets easier. But it will be great to have the script that creates the labels automatically in every repo and like make sure that they are in sync. And that's why I brought up what Richard had been doing with other labels. And then there is labels and Richard has his hand up, which I believe it's really
super sorry about that. Some guy is literally cutting my internet on the street right now. I went out and said hi. There is that script is in PM, IPFS/PM. It's in like the dev tools folder. Anyone can run it. I'll just write up a bit of README because it's clear that other people don't see that exist. Having a CI that would like automatically add those labels to every repo we make would be awesome. What I would really like to do is make a README like on how to open or how to run a new repo for any IPFS or IPLD or multi-formats. Just repo in general, how to open one. Having like a constant thing would be good. Best way forward, probably to open an issue about it.
So Richard, it sounds like there's overlap between what you just described and what this labels as milestones tool could do for us.
Yep.
So we'll follow up on that while you're on the phone or telling someone not to cut your internet. Oh, you're still there. People keep moving because people are joining and leaving. Yeah, I'm going to follow up with Hod when he comes back from vacation tomorrow.
Sounds good. Keep me looped on those, and I can help out.
David, did you see if you click on the link that's here in the agenda notes about labels and milestones, in IPFS PM issue number 237, I think that's where I posted a link to a sample config file for the JS IPFS stuff. So one thing you can do before we get it working is just double check that covers the milestones and the labels that you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can just edit that config file because that's what I'm going to use to do the first pass of synchronizing.
Sounds good.
Once we get it working.
Sounds good, thank you. The only last thing that I was going to mention, which will be pretty great to add on top of all of this, would be to then, like in each milestone, if you check JS IPFS and we peer-to-peer, we have a list of tasks. And it would be great if we, at any point in time, we could now that we have all the issues and all the pull requests labeled with the milestone that they belong to, now let's bring back those milestones into the README so that once we reach the end of the quarter, we can look back and really quantify how much work was put into each of the milestones, what was really there, and what was there that we didn't expect in the beginning. That information will be super useful.
Yeah, this is why I really like this idea with the roadmap generator being something that actually generates a markdown file, because then over the quarter, even weekly, and that's the thing, we could, in theory, also use that same generator to generate weekly captain's logs if we wanted to, because it's using the same exact information. It's basically a formatting question to output with this format instead of that format. But the cool thing is that over the quarter, you could update all your milestones and regenerate the roadmap, and it would update your roadmap.md, but we would have that in Git with the history of this is what it looked like on this date, and then at the end of the quarter, this is what it looked like. So I think that'll be really, really useful, and it's definitely, that's what makes it worth it to be using this generator in a big way.
Totally agree, and you also get diffs.
Yes. One thing around that labels and milestones thing, one way we might end up tracking all those config files would be to have a spot in IPFS/PM that has all the config files for all of the labels and milestones for all the projects. So that would mean David or Jeremy. Well, so one second, Lars, this is partially a practicality thing that it would be easier to run the tool this way, partially because then whenever someone makes a change to those config files and pushes to IPFS PM, we could have CI automatically run the update. And so it's weird and annoying, but that might be worth trying if it's minimal pain for getting this to work. So I just wanted to flag that now, because it'll come up later. David?
Just going to say, since like you mentioned captain's logs, I think that that's a great idea. And like the cherry on top of the cake would be not only grabbing the issues that were done during that week, but also the ones that were tagged with help wanted. So like we would have a list of things that people from the community can like tackle into. That will also like remind us of being more diligent of like describing those issues better and making sure we are encouraging other people to like actually look at them and like try to contribute to them. That'd be really awesome.
Yeah. Lars, did that address yours? You had your hand up.
Yeah, totally. My first thought was to have the that it's better to have the configs where they're being used, but having them in a central place is great because it's, yeah, you can run CI to automatically update and render everything, and you have one place to track the history of the milestones. So, agreed.
Cool. All right.
Centralize the decentralization, yes.
It's federated. It's not centralized. All right. Anything else on that issue? I think we covered it. All right, Friedel, back to you.
All right. So we've covered the labeling, the label on milestones. Was needs review label covered here? I'm not sure.
I think that was David added in.
Yeah, I also added that one. Okay, it wasn't a topic that was brought up so far, right? Cool. So like the needs review label, it's just like a request for me. Like each time you review a request, in the same way that you add the needs review label to be reviewed, please also remove it after reviewing it. Yeah, I'm like chasing for PR, like opening PRs every day that I've already been reviewed, and it's like, oh, okay, now I just spent some minutes doing this.
It'd be really cool if we could get some automated things set up. So when we have a GitHub review, like the actual review thing that's on GitHub now, and somebody publishes that, it should remove the needs review label. That'd be really cool.
So we had an issue similar to that a while ago about actually adding in like a ready to merge label when someone says RTM.
Right. But no. The thing is we like GitHub has an actual like real review thing.
Yeah. So now that we have that, now that we have better APIs, maybe I could look into that and see if we can do that. That would be awesome.
Cool. Let's see if we can figure that out.
Yeah.
And until then, please remember removing the label when you've reviewed.
Yeah, agreed. Though I'm not sure. What do we do? What is the agreement? Do we only need one person to review PRs in general? Because how do you? Because I'm always unsure, right? Well, am I the only person to review this? Maybe not. So shouldn't remove the needs review label if I'm not the only person.
It should be per repo, and it should be like somebody other than the author. And then for certain repos, like for IPFS, it should require my review, that sort of thing. Right. Or if it's my PR, then I should require Kuba's review, or Kuba and Lars's review.
Exactly, but then Lars can't.
Code review.
But Lars can't remove the label then if he's not the only one reviewing.
Right.
Lars?
I mean, if you're reviewing an issue and you've reviewed it, but you're not sure and you want the eyes of somebody else as well, then leave the issue but tag them. Leave the issue in limbo.
The other thing is there's the assignee field, which takes many people. And so you could assign the people you want to review. Those people remove themselves, and the last person to clear the assignee field gets to remove the label.
I think this will be different PRs will require different reviewers. Some of them will be very simple. It's like a thumbs up, I'm good to go. In the end, the last person to review should be someone that is invested on the repo. So that means the people that have push rights, write rights to the repo will be the ones that are more invested. Of course, there is captains, but the captain cannot review themselves, their PRs. Yeah, what I mean is take out the label, please. That will reduce a lot of time wasted.
Does this, so David, does this also apply to those things? If they were marked as being in progress, then you would at least know someone else is already looking at it, even if it's still marked in review or needs review?
It's different, right? Because an in progress only changes to done after it gets merged, after it gets closed. So, for example, I might review a PR that's not mine, but it might be good, but the author knows, oh, I also want to add something more before merging, or I have another idea. So I cannot, the reviewer cannot be the one merging it, because that removes the chance for the author to actually add something that they forgot or something. And only if it got merged, it will move from in progress to done. So the reviewer cannot signal that the review happened with those levels. It has to be like a separate level for that. Does it make sense? Like, unless like the reviewer has more power and I always merge it as well after reviewing, but I don't think that's a good idea. It's better like to give the review, also because a review doesn't mean changes. A review just means review, and then the author needs to like do changes.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back around. I want to look through some of the issues where this has happened, and also I'm gonna open an issue just clarifying the conventions around who can merge a PR and when to merge a PR, because that's I thought was already established before I sort of joined on, but it sounds like maybe it needs to be revisited, or at least
it really is. We have captains, especially for projects that are that have a spec. So, for example, multi-hash, multi-other, all those projects have a captain. There is a captain for the Go and the Go with peer-to-peer and Go IPFS, which is like Jeremy. Like Jeremy, basically, right now, is always the last person in command that like needs to do the thumbs up for the merge. There is a lot of JS repos that are shared between me and Friedel, and there is like modules that are not even like inside the IPFS or P2P orgs, but that we use and we created for those projects, but we also like created so that other people can use them. That's like, it's the author, the owner that like owns the merge process. It is, I think like that doesn't need a review or a policy document or so on. I think right now it's working properly, or at least like if someone has a concern about the current process, let us know.
all right. Well, I created an issue for it. If we end up just closing it with someone saying, "Here's where the documentation is on how we do it," then that's fine. And I'll add it to the notes.
Yeah, it might be good just to document the current state. I think it's written down explicitly somewhere. But I think from what I've seen so far, it works pretty well. What we have in place currently, there are no large issues with it. All right, so next one, multi-formats captain. Larry's already volunteered as tribute. So David, Jeremy, do you have any opposition against Larry's being multi-formats captain?
I don't have any opposition other than a question of like, is Lars going to captain every multi-format repo?
Wait,
just
so
the organization.
there's already a list of all the captains on the main Revi in multi-formats.
So what is this new captain for multi-formats?
I don't know.
Lars?
The way I was interpreting it is to just take care of all the stuff that's not covered by individual multi-formats projects, like the organization, adding new external repos. Can you meet? Just
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not interpreting it as taking care of the individual multi-formats.
Okay.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Like not all of them.
I think in that case, I'm the multi-formats captain. That's what it says on the repo. If you feel like there's something I'm not doing, let me know.
Okay, cool then. Cool.
Yeah.
We just didn't know it did have a captain. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's mainly for organizational stuff, for like readmes and making sure that that all works. I don't really have any milestones laid out for that. It would be great if we could clarify maybe what you mean by what captainship should be, and we should do that in an issue. So if you could open one, then I can jump in.
I'll do it.
Thank you.
Cool. So we already have a captain. Sorry, Lars. But everybody who knew that was offline when we asked the question.
Apologies.
So that's fine. Now everybody knows that Richard is the captain. That's good, so that everybody knows. All right. Last agenda item, Orbit call, Richard. Adding apps back to Monday calls.
So yeah, so Hod isn't going to be here this Monday. He's still getting back from vacation. Keck, since you work on Orbit, I don't know if you want to talk about Orbit today. Hod said in the issue that he'd be happy to have it be a call if anyone else wants to captain it. If you feel like it could use some special time, I just wanted to open up the opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I'm kind of still implementing the stuff he already did in JavaScript in Go. So right now, I'm not really aware what we need to talk about. I'm in the process of communicating with Hard, but yeah, I don't know if there's something we need to talk about in the big round.
Cool. Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that, the possibility of having a video call, and you're happy to, we're always happy to have other people man those calls besides the normal people. So if there's something to talk about, sweet. There's going to be a call next week.
And it's going to be a new permanent fixture in the weekly.
Yes.
Right. And Hod, I know he called out, it's not just for Orbit. He was sort of let's make it about distributed apps on IPFS and sort of all that subject matter. I wonder if, in the interest of the day is already very long, should we be bumping the IPLD call off of Mondays? Because the sort of fervor of activity on IPLD has really died down.
We should talk to Nicola about that. Maybe we should either open an independent issue in IPFS PM, or just ping him on the current issue.
All right. But in the meantime, can you add the Orbit, or add this Orbit/apps call to the default template for the weekly?
I can do that, yeah.
Awesome.
Dig, now that your mics work, I think you're a leader again. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I was just thinking about the time issue because we're already pretty full, and adding another call is going to add to the load. And I'm pretty sure Hod doesn't want to do the call as the last one. So we have to bump some other call. And
we'll deal with that when we get to it, probably on Friday. So I'll open up the issue for it tomorrow, and we'll have a discussion in this thread.
All right, cool. Just wanted to raise that.
Yeah, I'm aware.
All right, cool. There are no additional agenda items anymore, except moderator for next time and demos. So let's deal with the hard work first. Who's going to be moderator next time?
I just want to ask a question before finishing. Since we are getting Monday really packed, before we had IRC check-ins, that lasted for 1 hour plus 30 minutes for people to decompress. Right now we are 1 hour all ends. One of the things that we might consider is that sometimes the all ends doesn't last the full hour. We might just try to make all ends more efficient and make sure that we come prepared. And then we gain an extra half an hour that we can then put apps on IPFS. It doesn't have to be decided now, but just if people think that this might be a good idea for everyone.
We have pretty consistently been, other than this week where we started late, daylight savings, people's internet going away, but usually we have been wrapping up this call by the agenda of this call by the half hour, and then did demos. So, and we even this week invited Ed to come and demo some IIIF stuff. So I was really into the idea of using that slot to do demos where you're not required to watch the demo. So if you need downtime, you can go do other stuff. But so I like having that time blocked out. So it lets this meeting get longer like it did today if it needs to. And then otherwise, we just do demos and get some downtime. So I would prefer not to schedule another thing during that time.
Okay, I see. Okay, so Fredo, feel free to.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's talk more about the timing issue in the issue that Richard is going to open for all other concerns around this. So who is going to be moderator next week? Who's volunteering? I see so many hands. Lars, your hand is up.
Jeremy's hand is also up.
Jeremy is note taker. His hand is up as well.
I volunteer for note taker.
Yeah, remember last time you tried to make me note taker? I think I missed the call.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you were also supposed to be the note taker for this call.
Yeah, Yeah.
Was he? No. I volunteered last week, I think.
Yeah. All right. No. Jeremy is note taker for.
Oh, Sid, were you offering?
I volunteered for next week to be note taker.
Sid, you're muted.
I'd be happy to take notes.
Okay.
Cool. And David, you're a moderator then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. New faces, they are always good. All right. So we have note taker and a moderator for next week. So let's do demo time. Add Matt. I have something running. Let me start it. If my connection goes away, then it's IPFS fault because I'm starting IPFS daemon.
Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, let's see how we do this at best. Can we do multiple screen sharings? That would be pretty sweet.
I don't think it lets us do that. I think it's
No,
just one person's screen takes over when they're sharing.
Just one person. That's too bad. Okay, so I will share my screen, and then other people will have to make notes and try to connect to me. So where's the share screen button? There's the share screen button. Let me just share everything. That's easier. Oh God. So, can everybody see my screen? Excellent. So I've got it.
Are you learning how to summon monsters? It's like an ancient book.
Yes.
So so a little bit of explanation. So this is showing it's a triple IF image viewer. So it uses the International Image Interoperability Framework to display high resolution images that are, these ones I think are scanned manuscripts out of Stanford's collection. And we're using a viewer called Mirador, which was developed partially at Stanford and partially as a collaboration with a lot of participants. And so he's picked a page out of a manuscript and it has annotation features. And in that community, one of the issues that comes up, so something that hopefully we have time Ed can demo is he's done work on serving the tiles for these images directly from IPFS, so that an institution could basically put all of their, rather than serving it from a centralized server, they can put it all on IPFS and the viewers can read it directly from IPFS. But another thing they've run into is they have this annotation feature, but nobody really wants to run the annotation server that these annotations get run to. So what Ed and Dig worked on was making this annotations feature, write the annotations directly to IPFS, and then share those annotations over PubSub. So Dig can clarify, I think that they're actually written to a channel that's named after the
right.
unique identifier of that image. So basically, like, there's just a single channel that's for any annotations anyone has created on this image. Obviously, that could be done differently in the future, but I'm going to try to connect. If you start talking to, which folio are you on? Folio 3R?
Yeah, 3R. It's the first one with text.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to save this for now, which is my annotation here. If I hover over it, it should show me there. Also my IPFS tag. Right. So this is using OrbitDB under the hood and the cool document store that Hard wrote, which is cool. So it just uses the regular OrbitDB channels. It currently is just one ginormous OrbitDB channel called World, which everybody can write to. But there's a document for each image being created, which then stores the annotations per image identifier, which is what Mirador also uses to identify the annotations to figure it out. So in theory, if Matt creates an annotation here and tells me if he has one.
I have one. I just saved one. Oops.
Okay.
But I don't know that it worked.
Well, we will only see it. So there are two things that need to be happening. The first one is I need to actually be connected to Matt, which it doesn't look like it is. So I knew that would happen. So I've prepared for this. Matt, you're gonna need to send me your ID so I can connect directly to you.
My node ID?
Yes, your full thing. Like if you start the server, it like here, you see this whole deal here I need from you.
Do you need the whole deal?
I need the whole deal, IP address and everything.
Okay, I will send that in the chat here.
And all right, how do I get the chat now?
Or I can.
Oh, there it is. I found it. Yes, thank you. Okay, let's see. Oh, missing the swarm there. Yeah, we're connected. That is better. So let's see. Go away, chat. There we go. Okay, let's see.
All right, my image has not shown up yet.
Especially reload, maybe it's happier then.
Pretty cool.
Weirdly, it doesn't let me update an existing annotation.
Yeah, I haven't checked editing how that exactly works. So it's not showing up. That's unfortunate.
I think once it's been sent, it doesn't resend. I think you have to add a new annotation.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Right.
Hot stuff is still persistent.
Right. Well, but shouldn't the document store like retrieve the latest hash and like tell it itself? I don't know.
No, but it doesn't have the latest hash.
Right.
So I just saved a new annotation.
Oh yeah, I saw that something came in. Let's see. Yes.
Ah, you got both of them now.
I've got both of them. And it deleted mine. Well, yeah, well, that's probably because it stored the latest hash, which was yours, and it didn't know about mine. So this overwrote mine now.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen actually.
Well,
I mean, in orbit.
Well, there are some kinks to work out, I guess, but in generally it works, which is kind of cool. That's Matt's annotations. Yay! Let's see if I can get my annotation added to this.
Just want to give a technical point that 3 minutes until the next call.
Yeah.
Right. I have to wrap up. Matt, check if this is coming to you.
So do I need to refresh my page to see
No,
it?
you just have to navigate away from the, like, select another image and then come back to it.
Yep. Yeah. It appeared.
Yes, that's awesome. Cool.
So,
right.
All right. So that's, I mean, and I also want to let Ed show his 3D image viewer.
Yes,
So that's, we ran low on time for this demo, but
yes.
I think we should do lots of these. I think every week we should be showing work that people are trying to really actually build on top of IPFS and see the points of pain and the points of joy. So Ed, do you want to use the next 2 minutes to show your 3D image viewer?
Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Yes.
So this is another IIIF viewer. It's called Universal Viewer. So what I've got here is a manifest, IIIF manifest that's being loaded over the IPFS.io gateway. So if I zoom in on this, if I open DevTools here, you should be able to see the tiles loading. Yeah, oh, there you go. There's a few. So if we have a quick look at these, that's what the tile looks like. It's just coming over the gateway at the moment. And the whole manifest and the info JSON that describes the image resource, everything basically is coming over IPFS except the viewer. So the way I generated this was there's a gist here. I'll put it in the chat. I ran a Python script to generate what's called a level 0 manifest. So this doesn't allow you to do arbitrary areas. It just generates a set of pre-canned tiles. So you can still get the IIIF zoom effect, but it means that all the tiles are cached in IPFS. The other thing I can demo is really quickly. I have a list of on this examples page. You can scroll through them and find various demos, but this is a recent one for the British Library, who I've been working for recently. This is one of their objects. It's called an oracle bone. So one of their team who does photogrammetry scanned this object, basically took lots of photographs of it from different angles and ran it through some software to generate a 3D model. And then I've added this to IPFS, and I've added it to a IIIF manifest, and there you go. We can load it up. Ultimately, it'd be great to be able to use JS IPFS for this, but I think I'll need the Go networks and the JS networks to be able to interoperate for that. That's my demo.
So we're at thank you, Ed. We're at the top of the hour. One thing I had hoped we would have had time for, that maybe we can follow up in the future and have you back, is that I know that you would love to be serving this stuff directly from IPFS, but there are obstacles to doing that. And so I think it would be great for us all to talk about that on one of these calls, about what are the things that prevent Ed or someone like Ed from serving content like those 3D models directly from IPFS without using a gateway, without using HTTP at all, because it's theoretically possible, but it's not actually really possible yet with the code as it is now. And we, I think it would be cool to close that gap. I think it would be brilliant and amazing and wonderful if we close that gap. So,
Thank you, Ed.
Sorry for running over time.
Yes, we're now 1 minute over time. I think next call is going to be Go IPFS. If I have the schedule right in mind. Richard, can you correct me if I'm wrong? Or say if I'm right?
Correct.
Yes, thank you.
Go IPFS. Should be happening now.
Jeremy, are you ready?
I probably could be ready.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let me update on IRC. Friedel are you recording this to YouTube, or do I have to stop recording?
This is all going straight to YouTube, yes.
Sweet, so I'll stop recording. For everyone who's here, thank you so much for coming. This is now, the all hands call can be officially closed, I guess. That's great. And awesome to see new faces. Thank you so much for coming, Ed. And yeah, so Go IPFS will be starting now, I guess. Right, Dick?
Yeah, Go IPFS is starting now with Jeremy as your lovely host.
Sweet. Are we same call, right?
Same call. Notes are different in the Etherpad, and I'm dropping a link to those notes right now in IRC.
All right.
So go ahead. What's up? What's up?
All right, so Go IPFS. We've been making some pretty solid progress since. Can somebody, Richard, keyboard? Yeah. Cool. So we've been making some pretty solid progress on things since our planning session. So it's been 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks, we wanted to, at least the bigger goal for me was we wanted to have merged IPLD to master, and Saturday night that happened. So yeah, if you're running latest master, you can start using IPLD CBOR objects, and there's a new DAG command interface that will let you do that. It's currently calling it experimental because one, any objects you create with them will not be able to be used in previous versions. And two, we want to get some more like people using it and testing it out first before we say, hey, everybody should use this great new thing. So definitely, if you're interested, go try it out. But do note that it will only work on that commit and forward. So those objects won't be able to be transferred backwards to other nodes yet. But pretty soon we'll be able to have that be working a little better. So if you have any questions about that, let us know in IRC. Yeah, David?
I have a question. Because of the DAG API, we should sync up maybe tomorrow or even today if we have the energy after all the calls on how the DAG API should work. And I'm mostly concerned because once you put those objects, those blocks passing through the wire, through the HTTP API, they have to go binary or JSON. And we cannot, or we have a language to describe the data structures that go on the wire, or I mean, like, imagine just IPFS API. Like, in order to return the right IPLD format instance, I need to know what's coming on that request. And I can do that through CID.
Right, so take a look at the command. Take a look at the command. There are two flags. There is an input encoding flag, and there's a format flag. So input encoding tells the command which encoding you're going to be sending it. So if you're piping it JSON or hex encoded data or raw binary, and then format specifies like CBOR or protobuf or, you know, like fetching? Block. So if that's fetching, similar flags. So you specify the format within the CID, and then you specify the actual output you want with encoding.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Okay, so so the user needs to know which is the value type that they are, like, if I'm given a path to something, I need to know which value type I am fetching beforehand.
You can just, everything defaults to JSON. Everything will be able to print out JSON for the most part.
Well, okay, we can like also extend this to an issue. It's like the buffers thing where like if you, like, a buffer doesn't exist in JSON. So like if I serialize a buffer in JavaScript land, it will like create an object that says type buffer and then an array of bytes. And then, so then like with protobufs, it was easy to do that because like we knew that the data field was a buffer. And like, okay, like the API, API is just returning a string, but we know that it's a buffer. So we are converting it into a buffer. Right now, because we don't know which keys are which types, it gets harder. And that's what I'm concerned about, of how to know from the IPFS API side which format is coming there so that I can like create the instance for the user. But yeah, I guess like I will just like expand this in an issue, which I already did in a PR, but I created an issue and like rope you in, and then we can like continue the discussion tomorrow over a call or something. And just like,
yeah, we can do it after the calls too. That's fine with me.
That's great. Awesome. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, so that is really exciting in general. We also have the ability to add files with raw leaves, which has been a huge ask for a while. So now when you add a large file, the leaf nodes will actually be 256K, which means they're taking up an even number of disk blocks and not overwriting one extra and taking up a bunch of your file system space secretly. So that's really exciting. So yeah, that is that update. So then we had, let's go through our, oh, where's Lars? Is he not?
He said he'd be gone for 5 minutes and then be back, and he hasn't come back yet. We also don't have an agenda according to the.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So next up, we have, I'm just going to go through the milestones. So progress on IPFS 045. So this is going to be a release. We're hoping that it contains sharding, but it's also going to contain a bunch of really important bandwidth usage fixes and also some other network bug fixes, as well as the experimental features for CID stuff, which people are excited about. So 045 is going to be a pretty big release. It's going to still be an 04 release, so it's not going to be the full like IPLD first release. That's going to be 05. But yeah, so that's going pretty well. Trying to see, we haven't closed a lot of issues lately on that, just because we have the issues have been added to other milestones. Next up, we have improved performance. I don't think we've pushed much work on this recently, but Kevin, I think, is going to be looking at very soon going to be looking at improving the performance of the data store query, and that improving the performance of the data store query is going to actually help us a lot. So it's going to help in two ways. The first way is running IPFS repo GC will not take forever. It will also make IPFS refs local be a lot quicker. And it will also, there's another thing that most people don't notice, but every hour roughly, the IPFS node will go through and cycle through all the providers it has stored and garbage collect those. Right now, that's a really expensive process for some reason. And it's mostly because of the data store query being pretty slow. And so right now it's hard to run IPFS on a 1 gig VPS because after it builds up enough, on every hour it will go and crash from out of memory because it's running this garbage collection and it's very inefficient and it breaks things. So we're going to get the data store query stuff improved pretty soon, and that's exciting. As far as other issues on that, we haven't started working on any of those yet. Cool. Hoping Lars could give a core API update, but I will do my best. So the core API, Lars. Okay, cool. There you go.
So yeah, not much changed from last week. I've refreshed the open core request. It should be ready now. And then I have one more pull request upcoming, which is like the current one addresses get, head, and post methods on the gateway. And the second upcoming one is going to address put and delete. And when that second one has landed, the gateway is ready to be extracted.
Cool. Yeah, I merged one of those PRs for you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
No?
Last night, yesterday, sometime.
No. No.
No? Oh.
No, you reviewed it and left a couple of comments, and I addressed them.
Oh, well, I intended to merge something, so it's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Okay, so, oh God, where's my tab? I've got like 50 tabs open. I just lost the one I was on. Okay, cool, yeah. Next up, directory sharding. So directory sharding, the code is mostly there. The blocker here is, I'm looking for a pretty solid review of the actual code involved. So it's a interesting data structure. I'm fairly confident that I have it correct, but if anybody is very, data structure minded and interested in these algorithms, I would love a review, just a sanity check, and I can sit down with you and kind of like walk people through it if there's interest in that. But that's basically having that review and then having some people test it out manually and make sure, oh yeah, this does actually work. I have tests for it, but there's always that extra bit of things that people catch doing things on their own. So getting a little more traction on that would be great, and would help me feel more confident about putting this in the 045 release, which a lot of people really want. And I was attacked last night about not wanting to put it in the 045 release. So thanks, Friedel and David. Yeah, so that's that. Next up, the file store implementation. Kevin, would you like to give an update on this, or you want me to try?
Okay, I can try. You can hear me, right?
Yep, can hear you.
So last week, I was working on improving the file store. Actually, so yeah, could you click on the file store implementation? And never mind.
That one, yeah, top one, Matt.
Yeah, basically, I was just trying to. Right now, there's a problem when. See, scroll to the end. Probably easier to. Let's see it in there.
Last few comments, maybe.
Okay, no. Yeah, I don't see it. It's actually an issue on my own fork. Basically, it's basically so basically right now with the file store has a problem that when you try to, if you had multiple files with overlapping content, only one of those files will actually be stored, have an entry in it. And so this can create some interesting problems when you add one file, then add another, then you delete the original file. Then suddenly some of your files will become invalid. Some of your references will become invalid. So I was working on improving that. And that's basically what I was doing last week.
Cool.
That makes sense, I hope.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Are you there? Oh, yes. No. Okay, so I tell you what, I post the link on IRC. That'll be the easiest.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have don't kill routers, but there's nothing that has been done there yet. So we will move on to reduce resource consumption. So there's two main issues here. First one's reduce idle bandwidth. Second one's reduce memory usage. So idle bandwidth usage is, oh, Kevin, I think your mic's still on, so.
Oh, oopsie.
Yep, no problem.
Sorry.
So yeah, the first one's reduce idle bandwidth usage. And this one is kind of the most critical issue that we are thinking about at this point. So the default IPFS client, the biggest problem is the DHT. But we have a super cool new awesome little feature that allows you to turn the DHT RPC responding off. So you can make your node only use the DHT and not be part of the DHT. This is obviously not as good for the network, but well, I shouldn't say that, because in some cases, if your node is slow or like hard to access and has low bandwidth, then actually turning that off will be good for the network. And it also makes it so that your node's bandwidth, you don't have to pay all that bandwidth for being part of the DHT. The other part that is a little more difficult to fix is bit swap. So bit swap exchanges want lists everywhere. And so what happens is you end up getting everybody's want lists and everybody's want list updates, which turns out to be quite a bit of bandwidth. I was running a couple nodes and they were getting like 2 gigs worth of bit swap bandwidth a day. And that's fairly rough. So that's our primary next target. Obviously improving the DHT in general would help, but for people who want a bare minimum bandwidth usage, they can turn off their DHT, and then once we figure out this bit swap stuff, should be able to have a very low bandwidth utilization. So I've been doing some thinking on that this week. I'll probably do a write-up soon. It ties very closely with connection closing. It basically is connection closing. If we can figure out connection closing, we can solve the bit swap issue. So that's got its priority bumped pretty high. And that's one of the things I'm going to be focusing more on this week. And reduce memory usage, we will get to that in a few weeks. Not worried about that at this exact point. Cool. Next up, we have improve developer experience. Now, if we don't click that, because it's going to show that I haven't made any issues for it yet. So improve developer experience is a milestone I need to spend some, hey, come on, be nice. It's a milestone I need to spend some time fleshing out. But really what this milestone is we want to have, 1, readmes for everything. We want to have CI for every repo. We want to have examples in every README. We want to have tutorials on how to use different packages and how to use IPFS in general. We want to have like blog posts about, hey, this is like, you can do this really cool thing with IPFS. Here's how to do it. We want to make developers' lives who are using IPFS easy. And so that's what this milestone is about. This is actually going to be, once we get the other things out of the way that are like, critical IPFS issues, this is our primary focus. We want to make sure that people can use IPFS to build things. And so this week I will be going through, and also would appreciate any help if people want to help flesh out issues for this, going through and making these issues to describe how we plan on improving developer experience. I think Matt and Richard both have thoughts on this, and Lars as well. So if you guys want to go through and help me out in making these issues and fleshing them out, that'd be super cool. And yeah, just really, really helpful. And yeah, so that's roughly the milestones that we have at this point. The final two are old ones I need to go clean up. Uh-oh, waffle board, what are we doing? Matt, don't do this to me. I haven't looked at this in 2 weeks.
If it's not up to date, it's not up to date. I'm just reminding you that
it exists, yes.
Yeah, and also that you could start running these calls by just running through. You could make them more, there's value to checking in on the milestones, but it's going to start feeling really repetitive for you if you have to just read through the same milestones every week. Whereas,
yeah.
So then this is more, I'm offering you that in future weeks, you could instead make this call mainly be about looking at what are people actually working on this week? What have people gotten done in the past week? And then where stuff in ready or in backlog that you want to flag is like, hey, anyone who wants to work on this.
Yeah.
So you don't have to work through it today. I just want
to
give it visibility.
Okay, yeah. We'll probably get back to that soon. It's been difficult to keep it as up to date as I need. But if Lars and Kuba and others want to sit down with me, like maybe we can do a video call and go through this, I think it'd be great for us to plan a session to do that and then keep that up to date. Mostly because right now, looking at the milestones on GitHub is, at least for me, easier to get a mental image of what's going on, where right now the waffle board is fairly messy.
Well, is there anything I can help with that other than just following up and being part of that call?
For now, that's what I think we need to do. So yeah.
Also, would it be helpful, I have a hunch that it would be helpful that once we generate these roadmaps, if we include a link per milestone that lets you see the waffle board filtered for just the items on that milestone. And
that'd be cool.
I mean, generating those links is super easy. It's like a one-line change in the roadmap generator. So it's worth at least trying.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
So I'll try to have that done for next week.
Yeah. Cool. Is there? Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say I had my hand raised, but I guess because we are on screen.
I can't. Yeah, I can't see it.
Everyone. Yeah, so I was going to say, so like, remember when we did it back in Berlin, like the huge sprint of like just reviewing issues?
Do you want to do that again when we're in Berlin?
Yeah, why not? We should. But on the waffle board, what I learned is that like waffle board helps doing that because it just like groups all the issues together. And like you can like trust yourself. Like if something is on the backlog, probably it is on the backlog because it was not assigned to a milestone. So you really need to review like throughout the inbox list very well. Tag all of them, move it to the right column, review the ready column and any progress column. It makes like it way more easier to review all the issues than like opening like 50 GitHub issues pages. So yeah, like I've done it for this week's just IPFS and peer-to-peer. There might be more issues now on inbox, but at least as far as yesterday evening, they were all cleaned up, all reviewed. And Waffle really helps to do that. So don't feel that like you will spend again like 4 or 5 hours to review issues as like we did in the past, because yeah, Waffle helps a lot. And we should do that definitely in Berlin again. Maybe we can like allocate some hours during CCC, just like with a flag saying people are reviewing Go IPFS issues. Join us.
That is not going to happen. We can agree on doing that however much we want, but it's not going to happen.
Oh.
You know it. Come on, you know it.
All right, pessimism aside.
No, that's not pessimism. That's negative thinking.
Oh, I see. I see. Very clear distinction there. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything they want to bring up? Because that's the end of my spiel at this point. No? Cool. All right.
Well, then we get 5 minutes off before the.
We got 5 minutes
What's
break.
the next one? JS-IPFS. Yeah, JS-IPFS.
All right, bathroom break time. Cool. Well, I'll see you guys there.
See ya.
Have fun. Enjoy.
Thank you. No.
We're live now, so everybody can see the masks.
All right, because Richard's, should I?
I
We
don't
really
know
need
if
to,
Richard
we
is
need to do
around.
something that generates all that bit that we repost. 1 second, I'll make it. I just need both my hands.
All right. Yeah, agreed.
Oh.
So. At least now it's better because it's always the same link.
All right, post it.
All right. So, cool. Should I start it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we good? Are we good to start? Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very spooky JS IPFS Hangout. I'm not sure if like this is like too good. Like I cannot keep a serious face. Just laughing at your masks. From
You
the
should be afraid.
to the zombie though. Awesome. Okay. It is a very spooky JS IPFS Hangout this week, and also a pretty full one. So let's not lose time and get right into the agenda. I posted the other pad also on this channel for this call, and it's also available on the IRC. We will review the milestones that are under the radar for October and November, and we'll then do a sync up to Waffle. The Waffle war for JS IPFS has changed since last week. We now have a more Kanban style approach on our Waffle board, and we are using it to be able to observe and pick the issues that should be handled during this sprint. Also, like one of the things that I wanted to bring as a novelty for these Hangouts is like start listing issues, like tasks, that would be great for new contributors. Like we have been doing the work of like tagging issues with help wanted and like the difficulty and like trying to make sure that they get documented, but we never make the call out. And I do know that in the past we have made some call outs during these Hangouts of like what are the good issues for new people to contribute. And then people reached out to me or to someone in the team and they actually started contributing. So let's make it formal. And then the other things that are on the agenda are related to the CBOR module that we are using. If you have any other thing that you would like to add to the agenda, please do. Okay, cool. So milestones. Let me share with you my screen so that we all can look at the same thing. So let's see if this works. You can see my browser tab here.
Actually, I can see two screens, or it's only taking up half the, yeah.
Wait, let's see if I can.
I would reshare and just share that Chrome window.
Let's do that. What about now?
That looks good.
Sweet. Okay, so agenda there. Oh, I need to. Okay, agenda there. Roadmap here. The new roadmap was merged, so now you can like look into it on the master branch. There is a whole section for the last quarter milestones, and there is this new section for this quarter milestones. The first one is about the interplanetary JavaScript, which we kind of shipped. It is a very simple milestone, which is just like bringing up the question that we have been asking and having a lot of discussions through IRC, through Hangouts, through in-person discussion, to GitHub issues so that everyone in the community can participate. These issues are basically more about like code best practices, flow control libraries, exposed interfaces, and how to improve the usage of IPFS in general. You can see links here to those discussions. A lot of them have already impacted in things that we are doing, but they are still an ongoing discussion that we are going to have throughout this quarter, which we hope to have closed by the end of the quarter. At least maximum by the end of the quarter, we should be have done with those discussions. The next milestone is interface floats up. This interface floats up is essentially because we haven't really defined how users should use the floats up APIs in just IPFS and just IPFS API, because like the way that the fact that just IPFS API is behind HTTP and just IPFS is not. So we have expected to deliver this by the first week, but due like basically 90% of the team being sick and people being traveling to conferences, we have been not able to deliver this one. It's mostly on me and Juan to like just sit down and discuss for a bit and then come up with a proposal. This will happen in sync, and it's not like blocking anyone right now. Nevertheless, like Samuli did some pre-work, and there is a discussion on GitHub as well, just IPFS, about this. By the way, I just remembered, with all of the masks, I forgot to ask, do we have a note taker? Do we have a note taker? Did anyone know? Would someone volunteer to be a note taker? Victor, thank you, Victor. Awesome. By the way, when I'm on screen share, I cannot see people's hands, or at least I can only see 4 people's. So if I don't say your name and if your hand raised, please try to voice it in another way, so that we can pass you the mic. Cool. Thank you, Victor. All right, I'll try to use IRC. I get the notifications, Victor. Cool. So next big milestone, which we are really excited, is the awesome IPLD. So we enable just IPFS to handle both IPLD, CBOR objects, and Merkle-DAG protobufs. You can check this milestone state on this PR. Not this one. Not this one. Yes. There you go. Okay, you can see this is the awesome IPLD endeavor. A lot of things have been already code reviewed, ready for merge and released. We are just missing like this last PR, the one in just IPFS, to support IPLD. This pull request like updates the whole just IPFS to use IPLD resolver, to have the new DAGPB class, the new sync interfaces for hashing and for serialization, and also like the IPLD resolver inside supports the DAG CBOR objects or any other IPLD formats that you might come up with. The only thing that this pull request doesn't include is the DAG API, which is, as you heard from Jeremy on the previous talk, previous Hangout, is still something very experimental and something that we haven't really like had the opportunity to have a good discussion and feel comfortable with it. I do have a proposal. On the interface IPFS core with 2 methods, just the put and get, but these are very basic. Like these are not good to be followed yet. So we need to work on that. And also like basically what I'm blocked in order to ship this PR and to merge this PR is getting a code review on these pull requests. So if someone could like do a code review, it'd be awesome. Looking at you, JavaScript people. Cool.
I did review this mostly.
Oh.
I reviewed it in between, so I didn't review the very last state. So I need to just go through.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. I need like the last state review, which basically includes all of the versions that were published along the way from all the.
Yeah, I was waiting for CI to turn green, but that's.
Yeah, that's like with the IP. We can like use the commit version of IP to make it work while they don't release the patch version. Cool. Okay, back to the milestones. Where do I have stuff? Okay, here. The next one is async crypto. There's a lot going on this one.
Very fast.
Can you give a quick gist of it?
Yeah, I can give it just a. Can you pull up the PR?
Yeah, for sure.
There are just a couple of PRs that need to be happening for this, like just a little. So I don't know if I've ever made as many PRs at once. This is async crypto. This is making crypto faster and making browser builds smaller. This is also includes more than async crypto though. This includes upgrade to Adrian 9, which means actually shipping the decisions that we made around transpiling and version support. This means there is no transpilation happening anymore. There's especially no transpilation happening anymore for a node, which will make a lot of contributors and users happy, I think, that had problems. And also us with the lib folder and the source folder. And on every PR, there would be a check mark, change before merge. That's going away with this. The main things here to do are getting everything. So the rebase onto IPLD is mostly done. I haven't gone through every single repo, so that's why it's not checked yet. Most PRs are actually updated to the new Agir. So the main thing to do here is making sure we have Sauce Labs credentials enabled on all of these repos, so that CI turns green and the badges are what they're supposed to be. So that we have that ready for merge, and then we can start merging from the top effectively down, because we need the two at the top to get the others green because they all depend on them. So those are the two first that have to go, and then there's a single. And then the others are mostly straightforward, updating release dependencies after that. But there are three repos where there is more work need to be done. The first one being BitSwap, that is effectively blocked by IPLD, or at least we need to look at the IPLD changes and how that will work. There is JS IPFS API, where I have to investigate some more time into figuring out how to make sure that the tests work again, because the tests regularly blow up, even on master currently, and just hang and are slow, and something is going on in JS IPFS API tests, and I don't know what. I have to fix it. I have an idea. It's probably because Webpack loads all out ginormous test files, like 2 megs of text, and it processes them and then goes crazy and is not happy with this. I have a rough fix for this, which will make it so that Webpack never ever touches those files again. They will just be loaded through XHR requests in the browser rather than inlighting them anywhere. I have a fix for that, but it's not. I haven't fully tested it in a couple of edge cases where it doesn't work yet.
So then to you though, we already had the problem because we were loading, like Webpack was creating so many files that it was like blowing up with a max of 1 gig of memory.
Yes.
Process. And now we are using 4 gigs, and it still like with this new PR, it blows up more than 4 gigs.
No, it just takes for ages. And so like even on master, as I said, like this is no problem. This is just, we need to not make Webpack. We just cannot use Webpack to load 1 meg files for testing. It just makes everything slow because it processes them. And so I have a fix for that, which is load them as you would usually load files in the web browser using a regular XHR request.
Victor is asking, can we make that as a separate PR though? Because it doesn't.
No, because it is part of moving to Agir 9. Agir 9 does not use BRFS anymore. And so I can't make that a different PR. I can't ship the current stuff that is in there without this fix. Or we have red CI.
Wait, but like, we don't want to use BRFS. Oh wait, like, we don't want to use BRFS as a dependency of our code base, but like not using BRFS to like load files. That's a whole new, and like we should be able to use BRFS for the testing.
That's why we blow up with 4 gigs of memory. BRFS is literally the reason for that.
But like we were inlining everything before.
Yeah, and we had problems. We're not running browser tests on CI because of that.
Okay. I see. Well, definitely like loading the files from an external source makes sense, I guess. You just need to add that code in.
Yeah, and that will be part of AG. Like this is like a 5-line script, which just looks, am I running a node, read the file from this. Am I running in the browser, do a evil synchronous XHR request to keep this stuff synchronous, and just load the file like that. And that works wonderfully. As I said, it just needs to test it and make sure it works as expected.
Okay, sounds good. So the question I was getting at is because this milestone was like we expected to ship it last week. Can we ship it this week? Like, do you feel that all of this work?
Yeah.
And like, let me add one thing more. Like, exclude BitSwap from the equation because like BitSwap needs a lot of rework with the fixes of issues and like the migration to like support BitSwap 1.0.0 and 1.1.0. And like, I'm grouping all of that into the BitSwap complete milestone. So like excluding BitSwap from this list and just like all the other ones, can we ship it? Can we ship this in crypto this week?
Well, we can't technically ship it fully then because we can't ship JS IPFS main without BitSwap. It will not work.
It will not work BitSwapping, but like BitSwap also was just working for one block.
No, but BitSwap was working decently in JS IPFS nodes.
What?
Between JS IPFS nodes, BitSwap works fine.
For a lot of files, for large files. Like the thing is like
Yeah, it was working fine. But,
one of the things I brought up 2 weeks ago.
Like with IPLD, and there are problems with BitSwap, but it works, it transfers files between two JS IPFS nodes without a problem.
So one of the things I brought 2 weeks ago, it might not have been clear back then, I see, was that like with all of these refactors throughout the code base, a lot of pieces are moving and BitSwap kind of gets shaky with that update. And like it gets even more shaky when we don't have a thing like the DAG API on top to and like support for BitSwap 1.1.0. So we could constrain away BitSwap and like work on making BitSwap work without like CIDs and then say, hey, like we have this like JS IPFS thing that works but doesn't like if you try to add a non-DAG paragraph object, it will break. It will just like explode because like BitSwap will not understand what's going on. Or it just like will not be able to fetch those DAG nodes. Or we can just like make BitSwap a whole endeavor of its own and like ship BitSwap 1 that works with Go IPFS and ship BitSwap 1.1 that works with Go IPFS and IPLD and make that as like one single like blob of tasks instead of like blocking all the other ones.
Right, and I'm fine with doing that. I just want to say like BitSwap will not work at all.
So what we'll do is like we'll just like avoid releasing and saying here's the new version of JS IPFS that's like in NPM, but like we do have a version on master that where BitSwap is not like plugged in yet, but we've focused on merging the IPLD PR mountain, and we focus on merging the async crypto PR mountain, and then we can like laser focus just on BitSwap instead of like having to do all of this NPM linking that we are seeing here. And all
no, that's totally great. Just wanted to make clear like then this will be completely broken.
My bad. I brought this up like the sprint 2 weeks ago, but like it seems it didn't pass through. So happy that we are. Although we were not in sync, we are in sync. Awesome.
One other thing I want to mention on the shipping goal, I do think we can ship it this week. Though I want to mention that when we ship this, actually, this means we also shipped another milestone. The milestone about making the bundling milestone is like all these PRs include everything necessary for that milestone, or will when they're shipped. That means like that milestone gets shipped at the same time that this gets shipped.
That sounds great to me. So the only thing I missed from what you just said was like, did you say you are confident that we can ship Async Crypto this week, or you are not confident?
I'm confident we can ship it if the Earth doesn't fall and Travis doesn't let me wait 2 days.
Awesome. Okay. Let's. Cool. Any like? Do you want to set up a mid-week milestone, or like checking in, like for example Wednesday or Thursday morning, like the state of this? Just make sure that we sprint it through and like make it all work before the end of the week.
Yeah, that would be cool. Also, like I'm literally like I wanted to release 2 of them today, but I couldn't because I didn't have source credentials.
It's on Meldium.
I don't have access to Meldium.
Oh.
You can look. There are conversations on everywhere and issues about this. Like,
okay.
I've been trying to get Meldium for 6 months. It didn't work. I don't have access.
I didn't know that you didn't have access to Meldium. I actually like added specifically that key to the dev team, and I thought that would solve the issue, but no. Let's make sure that gets figured out today, or I will just like send you the key through other encrypted channel. Cool, awesome. That's good. So given like that this one gets merged once the review is there, which can be even today or tomorrow, and given this one is merging this week, and given that this one will get done when this one is merged, this is a lot of milestones. It means that like then we can be laser focused on the BitSwap complete one, which is what I intend to make most of my time this week. And hopefully this week it gets done. If not, early next week gets shipped. So that like people don't have more BitSwap problems, and we can like use just IPFS with the Go IPFS without the problem. So yeah, let me see here. And yeah, so this is like with regards to milestone review. We could go longer, but like those milestones are farther away, so no need to like spend time reviewing them now. Next up on the agenda, syncing waffle. We have 5 minutes, so this has to be quick. I'm glad that waffle is all polished out, which makes it way more simple. Unless someone has something to say, while waffle loads, I don't see any hands in here.
You have 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Cool. Okay, so there's like some more inbox ones here. Okay, just 2. This is not bad. We have a lot of things that were shipped. You can see this column after the call. What is most important is the ready column, which we should move the issues here related with the milestone that we just talked about to the in progress and tag someone to captain it. So let's do it. So the first one is a question about BitSwap, about implementation. I believe, okay, this is like an old issue. This is like a very old issue, pre-waffle, pre-roadmaps. Going to tag myself to it as part of the BitSwap complete milestone and like answer it during that work. Add a link to request. What? Okay. This is probably not needed to be done this week, or at least we don't have like to spend cycles. For tests from Go BitSwap, going to tag myself also to do this one. Implement data store. Is this like needed for the milestones of this week? No, right? It's just like ready. And it has an L pointed, which means it's good for new contributors. No one. I'm like waiting for someone to jump and say, yeah, I'll do it. Cool. Okay, next one, itemize, like this one, these two are related. improve. Okay, this is again BitSwap. This multi-stream select matching func is related with BitSwap. It's what's going to enable us to dial to like the BitSwap 100 and BitSwap 110. There's more information on the issue. Just IPFS. So this is part of the bundling and just and bundling NSE crypto. Should I move it here to the in progress tab, Friedel?
I'm trying to decipher what issue that exactly is. Yeah, let's put that into in progress. We will have to recheck all those issues and bundling again when things get merged and update the examples. Make sure that that's solved. But I expect this to be solved.
So great thing that we can like start doing is like after we ship things, like we just go again to the in progress column and see what, or even the ready, what I just shipped solved from all the issues that were open. And we probably will answer a lot of them by doing that. There is the files API, or more the MFS API and the DHT APIs for interface IPFS core. Victor started working on this last quarter. It's not a priority for this week. I'm not sure if you have the time to work on this week, Victor. Is that a yes? You're haven't started? Okay, the DHT will finish off. Okay, bundling just IPFS API. That pretty much the name of the issue is the name of the milestone. Bundling just IPFS and just IPFS API for the browser, the same thing. Missing requirements on the README. And what is this? Okay, this will come with the bundling because we are adding those badges and also the badges for the browser. So also putting it to this week. And this is not like L pointed, right? Like it's already part of the endeavor. 1 minute. Okay, cannot include. This is again bundling cat subfiles. Do we have time to work on this, Victor? Basically being able to cat and hash / a path. Oh, I see that you are saying that it's already done. Should I close it now?
Just want to point out it's 2 o'clock in time for the next call.
Okay, so we have to move. Okay, just like this last question. Okay, this is going to be cat subfiles. Do you have time to work on this, Victor, this week? Right, sure. Yeah, we have the resolver. That's true. Now we can use the resolver. So I cannot like fix this with the new resolver. Yeah, that's true. The resolver is there. Oh, the resolver is there, but the UnixFS. So the resolver is there for objects. We need to do the UnixFS engine to use it, because the UnixFS engine will not. So like you can get objects, but then like the UnixFS engine has to understand. Oh, I'm traversing first, and then checking if it's a file, and then like fetching the chunks of the file. Because people never point to the chunks; they point just to the root of the file. Mm-hmm. So it is okay. Not that to. Okay, we are over time, and we didn't manage to review all of them. There's like 6 more. So we need to jump into peer-to-peer. We might like come back to this, or like people on the project feel invited, encouraged to open Waffle and like do the review as well. I already did a bunch. Okay, let's jump into peer-to-peer. Is it the time?
It is so time.
Sweet. Okay, thank you, Peter, for taking notes. That is always very helpful.
I've got to run. You got to do without me tonight.
Are you going to scare people?
I'm going to go scare people, yeah.
Ask them for candy.
Actually, just going to take care of my son right now.
He's going to go trick or treat, is what he's going to go do.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. David, I did just last note, I just reviewed your PR show, so go.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you for reviewing PRs while we were in a call. I'm sure that review is just like
I read all most of the code before, so.
Sounds good. All right, so with peer-to-peer. Let's do the with peer-to-peer call. I'm still screen sharing, I guess. The agenda for with peer-to-peer.
Do we have a note taker?
Does someone volunteer to be the note taker?
I can be the note taker.
Thank you, man. Awesome. So this is going to be way shorter than just IPFS, especially because like there's been a lot more work being put in just IPFS and with peer-to-peer for the first half of this quarter. That will change in the second half. Start with update and milestone. So in the same way that we need to do the interface floats up, we also need to do the, let me open this first. Presenting milestones from last quarter, milestones for this quarter, with peer-to-peer interfaces. This was something that was supposedly to be finished by the first couple of weeks. We still haven't had time to sit down and review them. As you know, with peer-to-peer has a lot of interfaces, and they are actually documented, and they have tests, and there's a spec that the JavaScript ecosystem follows, but we haven't had the time to like really make sure that those interfaces make sense also to go. And that's what we need to do. Just make sure that we are happy with the interfaces and we can apply them to Go so that we can start using that as like specs of how to build the pieces of peer-to-peer, which will be pretty useful when we get a website, which will happen also soon. The other milestone that has been on the works is the lead peer-to-peer IO, the website. And the lead for that is Victor, but Victor cannot talk. So yeah, okay, I'll try to do the best of that I can. Victor, if you see me missing something, please write on RC. Cool, so lead peer-to-peer IO, we have like this repo, lead peer-to-peer website. Right now, this is like a very old version. When we look at this one, there's like 2 versions on the works. One of them, which is like the old version with some more content, and there is the new one that like uses Hugo to generate the website. Me and Victor had a good chat, and we discussed what we need to do in order to get the first version of the peer-to-peer IO up. And basically the notes from that discussion are here. You can see what we have agreed for the landing page. First of all, these are going to be like the pages that we are going to have, the landing, the implementations page, the bundles / builds. We went with the word bundles because like builds might give an idea that like every peer-to-peer package is a binary thing, and like a bundle is just like a description for like a bunch of peer-to-peer modules that get stitched together and produce a network stack for the needs of your application. And then there's examples. A lot of this is basically just like a lot of these nodes are a follow-up to the discussions that we had during the IPFS gathering, what we want to have on that first webpage. We will not focus a lot in like design or logos. That's something that might come in the end of the quarter or just next quarter. What we really want to achieve with this webpage is getting something that people can search on Google or any other search engine and find a reference and like find how to get started, and also like understand what are the benefits, what are the highlights, what are the features, and who is using it and for what. That's what we want to achieve with this webpage. It can be very like simple with the right content. It is something that's like we are shooting to ship by the end of November. So like we are still in the like the end of October, beginning of November. But a lot of the work of like defining what has to happen has already happened. And yeah, I know that Victor is like working on this website plus all the other websites, and pushing it forward. Did I miss anything, Victor? Do you want like to give an update? Do you have like anything to show? I do know that like Victor also already built the table, like the implementations page, or a little bit of the implementations page, namely the table that like has the peer-to-peer pieces and then by language, and then saying if the module is ready, if the module is like in the works, or if the module is not even like started yet. Again, the design is a little bit crude, but the functionality, the information is there. Cool. So back to the agenda. Yeah, Waffle. Let's go to Waffle. Unless anyone else has a thing to say. Cool. Okay. Even before going to Waffle, sorry, I'm playing with my tabs today. Even before going to Waffle, so like also in the same way that just IPFS roadmap was merged, also the peer-to-peer roadmap was merged. And I believe the only milestones that are missing here are these ones that should be added by Lars. So with regards to packet switching, what we are going to ship this quarter, is it a spec? Is it an implementation? Is it a prototype? We need a little bit more description there, Lars. And also there was a milestone added that during the IPFS gathering about like understanding how IPFS can work over unreliable connections, because right now we always start from the assumption that like we work over a reliable stream, which might not be true at always. But like this is kind of like very vague. We need a more like objective description of what we are going to ship. Otherwise, what will happen is just like nothing. And then there was an implement, but I'm not sure also what this means. Lars, when you have some time, please come back to like the roadmap and like complete these. It would be very helpful. We have all of the other milestones listed here. Kuba and Why Are You Sleeping reviewed the roadmap, and they added the information that they felt that was missing. So it should be in a pretty good state. Yeah, cool. Back to the Waffle board. All right. So other than the website, there is no like direct priorities to this week's sprint. You can see there's like a lot of things that are in progress, and one of them are like this is Sync Crypto Endeavor, which was also in just IPFS, and that's because it touches both just peer-to-peer and just IPFS. And then there's like the website issues, and there's like a lot of like polishing, just curating the readmes everywhere, curating the links, like making sure that things look good in our readme pages. And then there's a bunch of Go with peer-to-peer ones that are in progress, which I would love if like Jeremy, I know you hadn't added any items to agenda, but like if you want to use some of this time, since we have a shorter agenda today, to give an update on those if you want to. I know that like these are mostly covered in your Go IPFS call too. So if you have any extra information, would you like to?
These in progress ones all look like, this all looks, or okay, those first few are just updating links and random things that I just need to merge for fixing readmes from Richard.
Yeah. What about, so also like I do think in the same way that like you haven't got the time to give some love to Waffle on Go IPFS, you also haven't got any time to give some love to Waffle on peer-to-peer. So there's a lot of like Go peer-to-peer things here that could use some processing love. If you could like review, like there's 92 issues on the backlog. and most of them are like Go stuff. So if you could like go through them and like tag them, maybe they are in the backlog because they should be in the backlog, but we don't know yet. So there is anything else on the agenda? It's good. Everyone can go enjoy their Halloween. See, everyone got their masks except me. No one sent me the note. Any questions? I'm going to turn off the screen share so that I can see everyone's faces.
What are you doing for Halloween tonight?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Rest.
Sleeping. Good idea, Victor.
Do some work and then rest and like wake up tomorrow early.
Like, and not be a child.
By the way, a matter in fact, we don't really celebrate Halloween in here. The tradition is another one. So like, there's no Halloween party. People just like import like excuses to party. But there is no Halloween tradition. I never went in the streets asking for trick or treat. What we do have though is the next day.
They're not street urchins. You don't just send the children out to go beg.
Well, we do go back, but it's in the morning. So like we have a thing called like for like it's called like you basically knock very early in the morning, asking for the bread, and then what people give you is like a lot of candy. So it's kind of like Halloween, but in the morning.
But in the morning,
yeah,
you wake people up.
It is, yeah. Like, and you can like you are allowed like there's a rule, like you're allowed to like annoy people till noon. So you want to make sure you wake up very early, and like I have maps of like how to like make my route very efficient, because then I was a little kid, right? So like I could not feel my back too much without like feeling like very tired. So I knew how to come back and circle to like drop my candies on like my living room and like just like running in like knocking more people's houses.
See, that's how I would have felt like. That's how you would do Halloween. Like, I feel like that would be the David Diaz approach to Halloween as well.
Yeah. So yeah, the duration here is 2 in the morning, and it's not Halloween. So, yeah. We have 15 minutes. I'm running out of things to say. We can end here. Do we have an IPLD talk today?
I'm asking Nicola right now. He's saying his response basically boils down to yes, IPLD calls are a great idea, but we don't really need to discuss anything. So,
and I can't be there right now.
Are there any? So I guess we should rather do it on a one-off basis. So I think he's saying he was not planning to do the IPLD call this week.
So, but like, isn't there a lot of work on IPLD, like the IPLD playground, the IPLD website, the like getting documentation for people to use IPLD? Right now, CID is an issue that says experimental, which is not true at all. Like we are like merging CIDs into our code base, like right? Like even like we have now the IPLD interface IPLD format, which tells us how to do tree and resolve, but like we haven't defined like a thing for like patching an object through down a path, you know, that should like bubble up the changes. So what are the technical points?
I also have some feedback on the API, or at least want to like talk about it.
So well, Nicholas said he's willing to do the IPLD call today if people want to. So it sounds like there are things to discuss about IPLD. So should we just continue with, we take a break for the next 15 minutes and then do the IPLD call at the schedule? Okay. All right. All right. Well, then I guess we can take a 15-minute break and then come back. David, can you come back in that 15 minutes to talk about it? Great. Thank you.
Oh, freaking Lars left.
Maybe his internet cut off.
When is the appropriate time to talk about the content ID stuff?
On the IPLD call, so like 13 minutes from now.
Cool.
So let's we have an Etherpad for that. Can we add items to the agenda? So
which agenda? To the IPLD?
yeah, so
yeah, go for it. Just
creating it here. Just like linked on the chat of this Zoom hangout, and also
oh, hi Nicola. Thank you for jumping on. We realized there's actually enough stuff to discuss that we might as well just go with the regular schedule. But thanks for jumping on at the last minute.
Perfect. Let's do it. It's just that, as I mentioned to everyone, this period is really intense, and I'm sure there are a lot of things that I'm not really following I've not been following in the past 2 weeks, and I will not be following too much in the next 2 weeks too.
That's fine. Actually, it sounded like a lot of the issues are more around, are like miscellaneous stuff that's not necessarily work for you. It's just stuff related to IPLD that needs to happen.
Of course.
Okay, so we'll all be back in 15 minutes. We get a break. Sorry for dragging you on early, Nicola.
you think like Quan could be around for that one as well?
I wouldn't put too much stock in that happening.
Actually, there's a small possibility because I have a call with him right after the IPLD call. So
all right,
might actually be free. Should I poke him?
Poke the polar bear.
All right, who am I competing with for keyboard noise?
Me. That's it.
I think you.
All right, I'm walking away now.
Where's Richard with his air that has the microphone underneath the keyboard?
Hold on, this one's louder. Oh wait, no, it's not. What?
Yeah, it's not at all.
Try harder, Jeremy.
I'm trying my hardest, damn it.
Got to have the keyboard with the lights.
Hold on, let me pull out my secret weapon. Let's see.
Do this though, right?
Yeah, you got your fancy lighted, flashy keyboards. Hold on. I got this. Okay, here we go. Now, David.
Have you learned any song to play with it?
I've used this keyboard more for playing music than I have for actually typing.
I'm not surprised. Like, it doesn't sound like a good keyboard for typing at all.
It's too much fun. I also have way too many keyboards. Because here's my third one that I use for typing on. Look at, like, got a metal frame on this thing. Ah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Like, it's also metal. It's very heavy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Sorry, Victor. It's not the new keyboard call. We're still scheduling that one.
Yeah, this was the Protocol Labs keyboard show-off call. Thank you for your patronage, and see you next week.
So we are on the break, Victor. If you want, like, to I don't know, get a coffee or something.
Yeah.
Have people played with block dust yet? Speaking of
block dust?
Yeah. Let me dig it up. BLOKDUS.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, it's really cool.
So Ed, who is on the all hands this morning with the 3D viewer, he's one of the people who made it.
Okay.
And he was talking. I really want to have him come back on and demo some stuff on an all hands when we can actually do some Q&A with him, because he wants to make block dust. We're currently, when you share your stuff from block dust, it gets written to written to S3, and they have to serve that. He really wants to make that backed by IPFS, which would be really cool. And he's really run into a lot of the pain points of making IPFS really work, or using IPFS in a real world situation. And I think we would have it would kick up some really cool questions and clarifications if we get to chat with him.
Okay, that would be pretty cool.
Richard, you missed the competition for whose keyboard is the loudest.
I win.
But you weren't in the running because you missed.
Oh,
sorry, Richard.
Is there a call going on?
No,
we're waiting for the IPLD to start in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Guys, I got a package. I got a whole bunch of graphics cards.
You're gonna be mining some Zcash?
Here, let's go over to the lab.
How much Zcash will you be mining, Jeremy?
Quite a bit. So I've got one test rig set up right now. I'm only got 2 cards running. I'm just optimizing a few things and doing some overclocking work and paying attention to the thermal performance of it. But I'm going to be setting up maybe 2 or 3 more rigs pretty soon. I've got tons of cardboard boxes and shit just laying around.
How much does a rig cost?
Let's see. So the base rig is probably $700 or $800, and then the graphics cards are $250 each. And I've been putting 4 on each, but I can do 6. So between $1,800 and $2,200 each. Yeah. So
it's a lot.
It's significant. Huh?
New miners are available now?
Yeah. So actually, my friend Nathan is writing one, and I'm using his.
Nice.
Yeah.
When is it going to be working on OS X?
Never.
It's never going to work.
I mean, you can maybe get it to work, but they're not really putting too much effort into it. There's effort for Windows and effort for Linux at this point.
Yeah. So basically, I'm out of the running as far as a random miner if I don't have a Ubuntu machine.
Roughly, yeah.
Or Debian,
Although you might be able to get it to build.
I know there are people who have done it. I looked at it. It looked like it's basically a day's worth of effort from a few different people.
You could do GPU pass through to a virtual machine.
We could do that, yeah.
Yeah, I've been debating actually getting a USB Ubuntu and then just running off that, so I don't have to like dual boot my system and then just mining on top of that. But
yeah,
it seems like a lot of effort for something I just wanted to run in the background and see if I could just like have some fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth CPU mining too. So if you just like, because my CPUs are getting like 20 hash per second, and then the GPUs are getting 40. So it's like barely.
Yeah, when I get back to Montreal and I have my other laptop, I'll get a USB and see if I can set it up. For now, it doesn't make sense. I look up the one Air, and like I'm not going to be running.
Oh yeah, no, you can't run it on an Air. You'll catch it on fire.
Yeah, so I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
Okay, I posted the message on IRC. We still have 2 minutes before we start.
Thank you,
How do you tell if you've successfully like mined a Zcash block? Does it?
You'll see it in your wallet. You'll get your balance will update.
I haven't seen a graphical wallet yet.
No, there's not a graphical wallet. You just do Zcash CLI get info, and it tells you your balance.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yep, I'm mining on a pool because it's easier.
That's a good idea. I've been running for a couple days now, and I probably haven't mined anything. So I've got like 1.5 pools of stacking.
Oh, are you not using like Trump's optimized miner?
I'm using maybe not the optimized one. I'm using the Trump.
If you, did you say so in your config you can say like equal-hash solver equals Trump?
Yeah, I'm using that, but I'm just running this on my laptop. It's not like.
Oh, okay. Because I'm getting like 20 on an i5. Or 15, I should say. It's actually 15.
Right.
And interestingly enough, I'm getting the same hash rate on an i7 as I am on dual Xeons. So, not sure what's going on there.
Where's Juan at?
Not quite sure. I just texted him. He might. It's what coast is he on right now? I think he's on the West Coast.
He's back in New York.
All right.
I think he might be in Palo Alto. He's moving into a new place.
He said he spent the weekend moving, so I assume that was moving stuff into Palo Alto.
Yeah, he's still in Brooklyn as of yesterday.
Okay.
So I guess that has no bearing on whether he's awake right now.
No. All right. Nicola, you ready? Nicola here?
I am. Yeah, I am ready. Although I think that if David wants to lead this, I think there is little from my side and more from David's side. And I've actually not been following the past 5 to 10 days of work.
David, you good to go?
Well, I'm happy to lead, but then again, I have been like captaining the task, so I don't know their state or what has been happening. But I do know that there's like things that, right? So okay, let's start and see how this goes. But we definitely.
I'll take over at some point.
Nicola, could you take notes?
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. So okay, IPLD call. We haven't. This is like the first call about IPLD in this quarter, I believe. So things might still look a little bit fuzzy in terms of like roadmap and what has been happening and what it's not. There has been a lot of effort in implementation-wise. So like Go IPFS already supports IPLD. GS IPFS is pretty much supporting IPLD. There's a last PR but there's a lot of work in terms of getting people to use IPLD and understand IPLD, and that comes from specs, websites, and other things. So I had a couple, like 4 items to the agenda. There is another one, okay, about scheduling, and I see people are still adding items to the agenda. So let's just start. First one, IPLD website. There was a milestone for this quarter. Does anyone has an update on the state of the IPLD website, the IPLD.io?
Yeah, do you ask if anyone has an update? Sorry.
Yeah.
I think me and Victor have an update. We I don't know if Victor is in, but we've been.
His microphone is not working.
Okay.
So you have to.
We've been having a phone call last week with Victor and Richard, and we discussed about what exactly we want on the IPLD website and what to release as soon as possible. And we've been taking notes. I don't know if the pad has been posted, but maybe Richard, you have them. But the key point is that we want the IPLD website to have one main landing page, which should be as self-explanatory as possible. And the aim is to introduce IPLD to developers or people that already work with a dataset and they want to make their dataset either verifiable or distributed. And we wrote a list of what type of audience we want and what do we want on the website. And this is the one page. And then whenever we're ready with the second page will be more from 0 to 1 in IPLD. This is a simple JSON object. This is how you can split in multiple objects. This is how you can address attributes. And eventually is like this guide is gonna lead you to understand how to, I don't know, maybe design the structure of a blockchain and so on. We will have future meetings that we haven't scheduled yet, but by today there will be, I will be writing this stuff up on GitHub.
Sounds good. Sounds good, guys. Okay, so there is work towards the website. And I see there's a link to a milestone of the website here. Do we have like a roadmap for IPLD specifically, or are just IPLD tasks scattered everywhere over the other roadmaps?
That's something I had to do before today, but I can only do today because I had been traveling a bit. And that's something that I want to ping you and others about this, especially because there are some tasks that I'm not aware of. So, for example, all this IPLDification of IPFS, I haven't. There is a lot of work that you've been doing, especially on the implementations, which there is little I've been following lately.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so but like there will be then like a roadmap doc.
Yeah,
like,
there will be a roadmap.
Okay,
the plan was that I should have written that I think by today, possibly before this call, but it didn't happen.
Okay, so that will definitely help next calls to like see like maintain status. Okay, next up, what is the state of IPLD Playground? Is that something that it is being actively worked on?
So the IPLD Playground, it's something that me and Victor have decided that a full playground like the JSON IPLD is a bit too difficult to have. It will take some time to build, and we would like to ship the website even without that, possibly.
Okay, so that means like no IPLD Playground in Q4, is that it?
I'm not sure that we said completely no, but no IPLD Playground in the first iteration of the website.
It is a bit counterintuitive though, because like the Playground is a great tool to seed out IPLD to people and like to make them try it out before we make like very strong commitments to implementation decisions and like interfaces and so on. So like by postponing the IPLD Playground and any other thing that like helps people rail into IPLD, we are just like delaying the chances that we get from detecting early problems with the implementation or the interface.
Okay.
So although I understand let's not block the website for the Playground should be something that should be a priority because it will bring a lot to the implementation.
Okay, that's definitely very important because let me tell you what was the initial argument. So say that we could have the website in 2 weeks without the playground.
Yeah.
And we could have the website in 6 with the playground. Okay, I'm just making up numbers.
Yeah.
Now we would rather have the website in 2 weeks with the playground, without the playground, and in 6 weeks with the playground. So
Like,
what I'm
happen?
sorry?
Can't both happen? Like you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
have,
They can both happen, but if so, this is just a question whether we want to do a first iteration which has no playground right now, or just make a first iteration with the playground later on.
so the playground will be a page, so you can like ship the web page, the IPLD.io website without the playground in 2 weeks, as you are planning to, and then if in 6 weeks we also get the playground done, then we release, hey people, like now IPLD.io has a playground too, and one doesn't have to block the other.
Sorry.
One doesn't have to block the other.
No, exactly. We're talking about the same thing. This is exactly what we want to do. We want to release a website without the playground, and hopefully that's something that we haven't discussed yet. There will be a call, I think, this Friday between me and Victor, and discussing next steps of the website. And this is something that we should, if you raise this as a concern, that we absolutely want. We haven't discussed about the playground yet, because what we want to make sure that we have a website without the playground working.
Yeah, okay. So I guess if I understand correctly, we mean like you want to focus all your attention on website first, and then wait, like once the website is up, and then start spending energy on the playground.
Yeah, especially because I think most of this work will be carried on by Victor. So it's mostly up to Victor how much bandwidth he has on make the playground and the website.
Understood. All right. Any other questions or remarks with regards to IPLD playground or website? Okay, next up, CID spec. So right now, a lot of people ask, what is CID? And we link them to an issue that says experimental, like CID v1. And like, that was true like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, but like it's not true anymore. Like, we are pretty confident about CIDs. We have it implemented everywhere. We have implementations of it. We are using it. It is not experimental anymore. It is something that we are like accepting coming into our code base. So is there a spec happening? Is there anything that can help people understand CIDs? Even the issue like requires a lot of domain knowledge right now to understand the value of CIDs and why we are doing it, which makes it a lot harder to sell CIDs to people, and I can even just explain it from the beginning. So, Nicola, do you know if there is any work?
On the roadmap that we had on the wall, and on the roadmap that it will be on the IPLD, hopefully super soon, but by the end of today. There was a milestone for one of the last 2 weeks of this quarter to have a spec for IPLD and CID, which basically means that the effort should start much earlier. And Juan, in one of the issues, mentioned that he would write a spec, but I haven't heard from Juan on CID. So I read the issues online, and this is a very good point that you're raising, especially Knopfel. Knopfel is also one of the people that used to understand the whole structure, and having him lost on CID, I felt, oh, this is really strange. So what we could, my plan was to just write the CID spec later on, because what we want to first finalize what we already had with IPLD. But if this is a concern for many people that would like to use CID right now, what we could come up with a better README than the README that we have today.
Which is not right. Like we are right. What we have right now is an issue that says experimental.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
We don't need to have like a full comprehensive RFC, EDF, IETF like spec for CID, but something that explains, gives some example, points to implementations, etc. And like, what were the reasons? What are the benefits? What were the reasons that took us to CID? Will help a lot of people, which is something we don't have. And also, like, this issue is like deep on IPFS/specs, so it's a pretty like, again, people are coming from IPLD and then they have to jump into IPFS, or they have to go to spec to find an issue. And so it is not that good right now. Cool, but totally understand IPLD spec is a priority. CID should be something that.
Yeah, we all didn't think about how much other people should know about CID, although, and we give for granted what CID is. This Nuffle raised a very good point of we should tell what CID is today without even a full spec. So this is something that popped up as a priority and we should do it soon.
Sounds good, thank you. Okay, so next item is interface IPLD format. So I created a spec for how IPLD formats should be built in JavaScript. It needs some review from the go. Like, it goes along the same lines of like reviewing interfaces that we have across the board. But the real issues that I'm looking for to have some discussion and some exploration is, are we going to add an API to change values, to patch values on the IPLD resolver? So right now we have a way to like create nodes and like to resolve patch through those nodes. But when we change the value, what we have to do right now is get that node, like the last node that we are interested in, change the value, and then grab all the other nodes in between, and then like bubble up the changes manually. Like, you have to do that all manually. And like one of the proposals, one of the discussions was, should we offer an API to do this? Like, it would be a very powerful object, like DAG manipulation interface, to be able to manipulate objects, get their updated versions, and also to have techniques for flushing or caching those objects. Because like, if we have a very long path that touches a lot of objects, then those changes will create a lot of new objects that, like, if we try to flush them all at the same time, it will just like start hogging the disks or even hogging the processes. So we have to know if we want to have this API at this level, or if it should be something that people build at a higher level. And yeah, like we need to open the discussion for it.
So I have a question. If you can reference the issue that you mentioned
on this, the patch one.
Yeah.
As far as I know, there hasn't been an issue that covers.
Okay. So can you, maybe we can discuss this deeper online, but can you give me an example of what type of implementation are we thinking about? Because my idea is that there will be multiple use cases, some in which I will need to update my data structure in a way that I keep history.
Yeah.
Some of them I don't care about keeping history. Some of them I don't care about making new objects or pointing to existing ones. So making something that is generic might be a whole project of itself.
So two examples. One of them is our own files API. So right now, when you use MFS, you have this virtual directory tree. And what happens is, like, you have a bunch of paths which are directories, and like you write to them. And then by default, it flushes to disk. So if I change the file foo.txt that's under like the directory /a, it will also update the directory /a and also like the root knows that points to like this whole tree, right? So the files API is doing this on top of the previous DAG service. Another use case is, for example, on the Ethereum network, and like Martin has built like at least 3 or 4 of these modules, and he's already experimenting a new one with Cbor, which gives you a way to change a state tree, a state trie, and only commit this new state once you are comfortable with it, and also enables you to revert back on commit. So like if you have, like, imagine this is case to to think is like a directory of files, a directory structure of files, and you change a bunch of files, but you don't necessarily want to like flush them all to disk because that's expensive, and like disk can be over a network, so that like, adds a network round trip delay. But like you want to commit, and I went to make some more changes, and then realize, oh, like these changes are not valid anymore. I need to like revert to the last known state, and I need to like bring back the root hash of the previous known verified state. And DQL operations can be built on top of higher level abstractions, or can be built on top of IPLV resolver abstraction. And what I'm saying is, although this discussion has informally a couple of times, no conclusions were made. Which, yeah, as long as we don't like completely forget about these things.
I want to... From the side of the notes, can I just restate what David just said and make sure the notes are accurate? That the examples you cited, that call for having patches, or where it would be useful to have an API method for patches, are: one, the IPFS files API writes a bunch of directories to a bunch of directories, needs to flush those changes to the DAG, or two, Ethereum, you need a way to change the state tree, commit the new state tree, and sometimes revert to the previous state tree. And currently both of those cases involve writing code that directly manipulates the DAG in elaborate ways, complicated ways, and it would be great to make that simple. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. If we can offer those primitives, that's good.
Yeah, let's write down this as an issue. We can maybe write a library that is meant to be sleeping. But if while I use sleeping doesn't turn off this keyboard, I cannot keep talking.
Damn it! I'm sorry.
Nicola, I thought you were talking and typing.
No. I was like, I was trying to find out who was, but I know that the loudest keyboard was probably.
We just had that competition.
So let's go back. So this is a very cool set of primitives that we could offer. I think we should write this up on an issue, especially because there are some people that we want to write some type of particular authenticated data structures that might have some particular invariance. So for example, whenever I add a new object, add the on the left or add the on the right, and this is something that might not generalize, but we might end up with a library that could fit most of our problems and not all of them. So,
David, could you create that issue?
Yeah, I can.
So next point in the list, can we move forward, or do we want to add something?
Yeah, so yeah, let's move forward. We definitely have to discuss more. It was good to make sure that people are aware of this stuff. The next one is something we mentioned on the IPFS, so the DAG API. Jeremy has like a DAG API implemented in the IPFS implementation. I have an interface definition. We definitely want to like check in after this call to make sure that we implement it in a way. It's not even interface. It's like implemented in a way that like it's friendly for remote clients that don't have typed languages. But it will be very good for someone else than us to review these DAG APIs implementations, interfaces, and comment on those, because like the DAG API is what you would call as the IPLB CLI. It's the thing that manipulates all of these IPLB nodes in different formats. So yeah, like it needs review.
Yeah. Do we have a link on the notes? Can we link this from the notes?
For sure. So I think like the best link is to like point to the branch where that API exists on the IPFS, and then you can like look at it and like run the help command. Jeremy, can you point to that branch, please? The API. Or is it, now it's merged, right? You merged Saturday. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted, Jeremy. Is it muted? Like
It's on master.
it's on
Yeah.
master. Right. Okay, so now it's on master. So like git git clone and like install that go IPFS version, and then do IPFS space dex space dash help, and you'll see that interface right now.
Can you either make an issue for that or add those instructions to the nodes? To be,
Sure.
if you scroll down, I sort of set it up. There's just
Cool.
So
okay, so this is what I add. I know Kumavis had something to mention with regards to interface IPLD format, which
yeah, so this might be language specific because I don't think it really works at the protocol level, but currently if you want to get the paths, you want to get like all the local paths from off an object, we resolve the values as well. And this might seem okay because it gives us a simpler API, but for some things like Bitcoin transactions and Ethereum transactions, we're going to have to run some crypto in order to reverse the signature into the signer's value, to like actually get their address of who signed it. And I think a lot of people are just going to want to know the local paths and aren't trying to resolve the values yet. So I think it's one thing to keep in mind.
Oh, that's a very good point.
I'm sorry, I just don't know what that conversation is relevant to, which I'm lost in the notes.
So interface IPLD format, it is the .tree function inside that interface. And that interface right now in JavaScript is returning an array with tuples of like path and value. And Kumavis is bringing up that like that value might be a very like CPU bounded operation to get to like unwrap from the binary blob. And it might be good to have an option on that function to not read all the values, just like get the paths to save all of those operations. One of the things, that good to that you brought that up, because there might have been some misunderstanding from my hand. I'm not sure if the IPFS right now is resolving both, or if there is an intention to resolve both.
Resolve both what?
On .tree, do you just return the paths, or do you also return the values?
For that API resolver, we don't return values, but the API says we do. It just will return an error that we don't currently resolve values.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's under options flag. Is that what you mean?
No, it will. If you try to resolve like a value, not as opposed to like an actual object, it gives you an error.
Oh, I mean like the .tree function. When you do .tree on a block, does it return all of the possible paths, or?
Oh, it returns all the possible paths. Yeah.
No values. Is that it?
No values. No.
Okay. Do you have any option to return the values as well?
No. You query for them.
Okay. Later on.
That's really expensive if you want Tree to return like literally everything.
Yeah, that's what Kumavis is bringing up. Okay, so that might have been, well, it was my misunderstanding. I do agree that like having that option might be useful. So let's like default to just return the paths and then have an option to say resolve values true or values column true, something like that.
Could you, so this was hard to follow. Could you make a ticket for this if it still needs follow-up?
Yeah, I will comment this on the interface ability format.
Okay.
So, thank you. All right, so the last item is scheduling.
Yeah, so, so spec recap got deleted. Okay, great, and website we already covered. Scheduling, so we're adding, as we discussed on the all hands, Nicola, you were not here, we're adding another call to the Monday, and Monday is already really long. So we're wondering if we could bump IPLD off of the Monday line up so that Monday does not get longer. Is that a problem? Is that possible?
Okay, so what we can do, because already we the best day for me, I think for most of us is Friday, I guess. And I wouldn't mind put this after or before the research call on Friday. It would make sense just to create like a new pile of work in there. Although maybe sometimes it makes sense. So we could do like this. For implementation specific IPLD questions, we could still have them maybe during the JS IPFS, because some of them are like JS IPLD specific, but maybe it might take too much time. So David, just say no in case you cannot include. I think there will be by default some implementation related questions on, at least this is how it was until now. But for more conversations like the one we had today, we should absolutely have a whole meeting by itself. And it would be great to have it on Monday, but Friday is the best day. Best second day.
As you said, like right now, just IPFS is already pretty full. Like I didn't even manage to like finish all the items on the agenda today. We can definitely discuss implementation things on just IPFS. But like we didn't have time to review IPLD big endeavors like the playground, the website, spec, and so on the just IPFS call. And I think it will confuse people that are looking for IPLD and not just IPFS, because IPLD covers all the implementations. So I agree, having a separate call for those discussions is a good idea. And I do like that we group the calls together. So if we are already going to add another extra call on Fridays for research, which is awesome, let's add the IPLD next to that one, because it reduces the scheduling effort for everyone. People just know, okay, I'll block a chunk of time on Friday for that as well, instead of like having little chunk across the week.
Cool, that sounds good to me.
There was one last point that I deleted, which was the spec update, because I mentioned that we have a milestone, but it probably is best to just wait for me to write the list of milestones today. I'll probably do a big IPLD roadmap like the one we did from the previous quarter. I was just justifying the deletion of that one. Okie dokie. Is there someone that has something else to add or to raise or to show?
I think
everything's there.
I think we're good.
Okie dokie. Well, thank you, David, for taking over this one. I thought that there were many other implementation related points, and I was thinking I may not know them in detail, and also because I was moving around and it was best to have someone stable doing this. Okay, okay.
Yeah, it was good to like catch up on IPLD things since we haven't had the opportunity since last gathering. And yeah, have a really nice week, everyone. Hope you enjoy your Halloween and eat all the candy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.